Uh, Peace and blessings, family, and in our universal language of Assalamu Alaikum. I just want to say that I'm going to take a couple of minutes to pay tribute and honor uh, to my way of life, my culture, my religion, my faith, and I want to start off by saying this. I don't argue and I don't debate Master Fard Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Father Allah, Minister Louis Farrakhan. These are men that I do not argue and I do not debate over, because it's because of them that I am who I am today. I want to start off by saying that, number one, all praise is due to the Most High. And I'm so thankful and honored and blessed to be the daughter of Moses X, who at the age of 12 or 13, I was afforded the opportunity to join the 5% Nation. Now, I had met a brother in camp. They would pick us up. You know, the bus would come and pick us up. And I met this brother by the name of Allah Asiatic. Very impressed by this brother. Like, I just thought he was, like, I didn't understand or know what he was talking about, but I knew that it had captured my attention. So every morning he would just be, spitting what I now know, today's mathematics. So very impressed by this, so, all of a sudden, I'm liking him, he's liking me. But, like I'm 12, 13, and, I can't have what you call a boyfriend at that age. So, what my father did was, I went home and told him, and I guess I might have been maybe quoting some things that Asiatic had said to me. And now, my dad's antennas are going up like, okay, like this is sounding like, real familiar. So, I want to meet this person. So I told him, like, my father wants to meet him. And like every young man, because we're talking our teens. We're talking teens. So if I was 12, he was like 14, at the time. Now, what young man, wants to, have a meeting with someone's father at that age? But anyway, I told him, no, my dad's Muslim, this, that, and the other, so he said he finally agreed and he came, because that's the only way he was going to be able to see me, is he had to meet my father. So he comes over, comes through the back door, my mom's in the kitchen. So he comes up, he shakes my dad's hand. I'm very nervous. He's looking petrified. And my mother's just sitting there rolling her eyes. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, of course I'm nosy. I want to know what, I want to be nosy. I want to be in on the conversation. So no, my dad said, come on, young man, and pulled him into like the living room. And there's a door, the door that leads to the dining room and then the living room. So, I'm thinking that I'm going in there with them. Oh, no. My dad closed that door and I'm sitting in the kitchen with my mother. And all I hear my mother say is, I don't like him. And already I'm like nervous, like, Mom, just, I don't know what to say, because my mother is intimidating enough alone. So I'm just sitting up there and I'm nervous and I'm saying, dang, they in there a mighty long time. So anyway, they finally come out. And my dad has his hand over his, draped over Asiatic's shoulder. And Asiatic was smiling. So I said, oh man, so we went well. And then he was like, you have permission to date my daughter, but you can't date her until she's 16. And you're going to be chaperoned. Like, father was very clear. I'm the only daughter. And I have 3 brothers. So I'm all excited and everything. So what I realized then is that, you know what? He had to be examined. He had to qualify. You understand? Rightfully so. So I'm like, man, I was just so happy. So, I begin to, now I'm doing crazy things. I'm sneaking, I'm cutting class. Oh my God, I think my freshman year in high school, man, I'm about to be in some trouble because I'm cutting classes like crazy. Because, I'm all grown. Now I'm grown. I'm cutting classes. And I'm going over there to be with a Asiatic. And, I was so infatuated with the lessons. I said, man, so Asiatic, he give you the supreme mathematics, the supreme wisdom. Like, he wasn't giving you all the lessons. So whenever he would go upstairs, I would jump up, I would go, I would sneak. I wish I had camera phone back then. I would be sitting up there. I would just be reading his lessons and stuff like that. I was like, I was just so captivated by the lessons. But he was stingy with the lessons. So, fast forward now, we doing grown things like we grown, and I end up pregnant, and then no. My mother set her rules, and so I ended up leaving. Now, I have the baby, daughter's 3 months. Asiatic decides that, okay, this is not what I want. I don't know if he wanted to just, remain a 5%er, or he was chasing some other girl, So he went and did him, leaving me with a 3-month-old baby. But at the time, listen, I'm the earth. So I was still going, to the parliament to doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I meet God Jamel. And he was like, okay. He saw since I moved to Brooklyn, he saw my living situation. He's like, no, I got to get this black woman out of this situation. So I went in, I moved in with Jamel, and, I had a baby. My daughter was 3 months, 4 months old. He had a daughter at the time. It was just the one, and then it was the 2. And, and I began just to build and just, really embrace the culture. And the one thing I'm going to say, family, is this. And the thing that impressed me the most with God Jamel is that, well, Earth, if you're going to study, you can study. Like, he didn't prohibit me. Here go the lessons. Here, study. And I'll never forget, I was sitting up there studying my lessons because my goal was to show and prove for my universal flag. Because, the Earths, they weren't really talking about studying the lessons back then. Not to the degree that I was studying them. So I was like, I don't care. I want to get my flag. I want to get my flag. And anybody that studied under the 5%ers, man, the lessons are not easy to memorize. And you got to know them word for word and be able to break them down. And I'm telling you, those tools that you get when you're young, they're with you forever. It's what shaped and molded me into who I am, today. So, I got my flag. So I was so, excited with that. And then, so we're getting a little older in the relationship. Things not going the way, like they could, because I am nothing but a queen. I'm an earth. Like, this is me. This is me. Anything other than that, I'm not gonna co-sign. With. So, me and Jamel, we went our separate ways. Whatever. I ended up marrying a brother. Now I'm pissed with the gods. Because I done had two gods. Like, come on now. Listen, black man, what's going on here? So I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm gonna, deal with this brother. He's Muslim, so I'm still, I'm not far removed from, from the culture and having knowledge of self and stuff like that. And so that right there wasn't going too well either, because he wasn't really who he said he was. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to be bothered. I don't want no brothers. I don't want no Muslim brothers. I don't want no righteous brothers. I'm just going to just be stuck with the lost found. I wasn't even looking for him. And I ran into this brother taking my daughter, who was 5 at the time, to school. And I was with that man from that date for 31 years. He did nothing but support me, embraced me, accepted me. He loved the messenger. He loved the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He loved the messenger. He loved Minister Farrakhan. So I started listening to Farrakhan, because now what am I going to do? Because, like, I am who I am. So I started listening to the minister. Now I'm driving to work, and then Brother Jeffrey, there was a Brother Jeffrey, gave me the business card one day when I got because I would get the final call on my way down Atlantic Avenue. And he says, like, come in. Come in Sunday. Come to the mosque. So, I'm excited because, like, my spirit is telling me, yo, I got to get back to myself. I have to get back to myself, because I've gone through, like, a lot of changes, put on a lot of weight, from an accident. Like, I just needed to get back to my, to my foundation. So I go in on that Sunday, and Brother Minister Henry Muhammad blew me away. After that man finished, I was like, yo, who? And at the end they asked, like, like who wants to join? Man, my hand was up. It's like I was ready. I didn't care about, me being overweight and any of those things. I was like, yo, this is it. It's like, man, that man's lecture, it was just phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I was like, wow, he's just very powerful, So, I went through my now I got to go through my processing, because I'm thinking, okay, I signed up, I'm automatically an MGT. Oh no, it's not like that. Oh no, there are steps. So I'm like, I'm going through going through my processing. And I had the most beautiful processing teacher, Sister Phyllis. I love Sister Phyllis to this very day. Like a mother. She was just the right person for the right job. So, I'm going through my processing. But in the meantime, I'm doing, I'm an artist, I'm a crafter. This is what I do. So I'm like, you know what? I want to make a doll. Put the little refinement on her. Modest attire for the doll. So I do this doll, this little MGT doll, and I give it to Sister Phyllis. Sister Phyllis runs out the class with the doll. Now I'm sitting up there nervous, like, where's she going with the doll? Like, oh my God, I hope I didn't get myself in any trouble. Like, because, I'm in my processing class trying to get through my lessons, and, so I can go downstairs with the rest of the sisters. I could really call myself an MGT. So Sister Phyllis comes up and she's ranting over the dolls. She's ranting over the dolls. Sisters, you got to make the dolls. You got to make the dolls. So, my journey began with doing the dolls. I'm doing the dolls. I'm trying to get the dolls right. Trying to get the dolls right. Finally, when I felt that the dolls was, good enough, Holy Day of Atonement, which is one of my best achievements, so to speak, because I got to show my dolls. I ended up in the Final Call newspaper. But my biggest moment for me is on that day, I got to take a picture with Brother Ishmael Muhammad, who is the physical son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I felt like I was standing next to the messenger. Oh my God, it was just, it was just, I love the messenger so much. And although I had to go through the students, it was just, I can't even describe the feeling that I felt, but I felt like, oh man, it was just beautiful. It was heaven. It felt like it was heaven. Like, oh man, I'm actually standing next to the messenger's son, taking a photo that can get passed down to my children. It was the most, it was amazing. It was amazing. So then I began to, do the dolls and make the dolls for Savior's Day. And like I said in one of my other previous visits, one year I made dolls. This is before I decided I was going to actually sell the dolls. I made a whole bunch of dolls, suitcase full of dolls. And I just gave those dolls out. And it wasn't about money. Yeah, I spent money to make the dolls, but it wasn't about money. I always say, don't chase the money. It wasn't the money. It was about the effect that I could have on our children. When you're a little girl and you get to see a doll, you have a doll that she's dressed like you. She has a headpiece or a tam on, and she's her skirt is down to her ankle. I mean, she's dressed like you. It's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. And it's just one of my great accomplishments, because it wasn't about me and it wasn't about money. It wasn't about money. But the following year, when I did the dolls again, we sold out. And we sold out so quick. I was, oh man, my son, it was beautiful. It was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. But you know what? I can speak on being a 5%er, being the earth. I can speak on being an MGT because I went through those studies. I went through that way of life. I went through those challenges. I went through the ups and the downs of both of those. So both of those are me. Both of them. MGT and the earth. Mother Civilization. That's me. That's me. And I have never been so blessed in my 59 years to have knowledge of self. And I just want to say also, I have a friend, best friend. She's been my best friend for 16 years. I did everything I could to get her in a headpiece and a long skirt. Her name is Lois. But it wasn't her thing, but she didn't judge me. She didn't, make jokes about me. She wasn't ashamed to be seen with me, dressed with all the, covered up and everything. She just embraced me, as her sister. And that's what we need to do. And we've been best friends for over 40 years, and she's more like me than not like me. It's just that the clothes don't make you. It's not the headpiece that makes you. It's not the turban that makes you. It's not the long skirts that makes you who you are, And I just want to say this also, family, as we celebrate, Father-in-law's born day, and we celebrate Savior's Day, that I'm a part of both those things. But like we say in the nation of the 5%, everything goes from knowledge to born and then back to knowledge. So this is where I am now. It's like I had to go all the way around to just get back to myself. And I also want to say this. People, when you get this knowledge and you get this information and you live your life accordingly, it's easy. It's only when you act other than self, that's when your problems come into play. And I also want to say this before I finish this, is that I had a friend, okay? I had a schoolmate, okay, at the age of 12, 13, when I first got knowledge of myself, who was acting up in school. And I simply said, do you know that the black man is God? And to know that that changed his life. It put him on his journey. And to this very day, in my opinion, I think that he is one of the swiftest brothers out there in terms of knowledge of self and the lessons. And so that's been my pleasure to know that, that I gave a spark, and it put him on his journey, and I could not leave that out, because that's all we have to do, is you present the knowledge. What people do with it after you give it to them is up to them. This is why I don't argue Master Fard Muhammad. I don't argue the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I don't argue Father Allah. I don't argue Minister Louis Farrakhan. I don't argue those men, because it's because of those men, along with my father, that I am here today. So I just want to say, happy born day to Father Allah, and happy Savior's Day. Peace and assalamu alaikum.